Hey there! Ever wondered what the craziest foods in China are? Well, get ready to have your taste buds challenged. From bizarre to downright strange, we're diving into the 20 weirdest foods in China. So, buckle up and join us on this culinary adventure. As they say, life is uncertain, eat dessert first, or maybe some jellyfish salad. Let's dig in. Number 20. Deep-fried spiders. Spiders might scare and disgust many people, but in China, they're crunchy snacks that people enjoy eating. They're especially popular in places where silk is made, like Hangzhou, and in tropical areas like Guangxi province. Spiders are eaten alongside other bugs like cicadas and crickets. In places like Guangzhou and Guangdong in southern China, people fry big spiders after lightly coating them in batter. This makes them crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. Some people eat the legs first, then move on to the body. The taste is mild, sometimes a bit sweet. In places like eastern Shandong and Jiangxi provinces, smaller spiders are just cooked with salt and Sichuan peppercorn. They're chewy, especially when you eat them whole and wash them down with a cold beer. Spiders and insects are actually very nutritious, with lots of protein, vitamins, and minerals. Chinese people have been eating them for generations because they're easy to find and good for you. So even today, you'll find spiders being sold as street food, showing local pride and a love for trying new foods. If you're brave enough to try, you might end up liking them. Number 19. Sea cucumbers. Sea cucumbers are strange creatures that live deep in the ocean. They may not look pretty, but China really likes them. They've been important in China for a long time, both as a fancy food and as a type of medicine called hashen. People catch them a lot in the South China Sea. In Chinese culture, they're seen as more valuable than they are in the ocean. So why do people in China love sea cucumbers so much? Well, first, they're rare and unusual, which makes them special. Centuries ago, they were prepared in a very careful way to make them edible. This made them even more special. Sea cucumbers also have a unique texture when they're cooked right. They contain something called fucosylated glycoprotein that makes them bouncy and a bit crunchy, which Chinese people love. But it's not just about taste and rarity. Sea cucumbers are also thought to have healing powers in traditional Chinese medicine. They're believed to help with things like joint pain and boosting immunity. Some studies suggest they have anti-inflammatory effects because of certain compounds they contain. But more research is needed to be sure. Even if sea cucumbers don't turn out to be super healthy, they'll still be valued in China. They show how Chinese culture can turn something ordinary like a sea creature into something exotic and special. Number 18. Century eggs. Century eggs are special eggs from China. They have a different look and taste. People make them by putting duck, quail, or chicken eggs in a mix of clay, salt, ash, and quicklime. This mix changes the eggs over a few weeks or months. The white part becomes dark brown and see-through like jelly. The yolk turns greenish and gets creamy and strong-smelling. Some people really like the taste, while others think it smells bad. People eat century eggs on their own, in porridge, rice, or chopped up in dishes. Even though they're called century eggs, they don't really take 100 years to make. But if they're left for too long, they can go bad. Some people might not like century eggs because of how they're made, but they're still a big part of Chinese food history. Number 17. Fried centipedes. In China, people eat bugs like centipedes. They're not just pests, but also snacks that are full of protein. Sometimes they cook big centipedes on sticks or dry them to make medicine. This shows how Chinese cooking can turn even bugs into food. Fried centipede sticks are common as a fun snack you can buy on the street. They're cooked on sticks, seasoned, and then fried until they're crispy and crunchy on the outside. The taste is not too strong, but centipedes have a satisfying crunch, especially when you eat them whole. People have used centipedes and other bugs in Chinese medicine for a long time. They believe dried centipedes can help with sicknesses like tetanus and convulsions. But if you eat centipedes too often, their toxins can make you sick. Even though they have some medicinal value, eating crunchy bugs shows how adventurous Chinese cooking can be. For people who love trying new foods, eating centipedes is a way to explore different flavors. Their popularity proves that with a bit of creativity, even pests can become special foods you enjoy eating. Number 16. Shark fin soup. Shark fin soup used to be a fancy dish in China. People have been making it for a long time. It was a special soup often served at big parties and weddings to show respect to important guests. This soup has been around since ancient times in China. Its popularity went up even more when it was served at a fancy dinner for the Queen of England in 1961. The special thing about shark fin soup is not its taste, but how it feels in your mouth. Shark fins themselves don't have much taste, but when you cook them in chicken broth, they become chewy and thick. This texture is what people really like about the soup. Since the main flavor comes from the chicken broth, the soup becomes more special if the fins are rare and hard to find. People used to think that if something was hard to find, it was even more valuable. But because so many sharks are being killed just for their fins, sharks are dying out. Lots of people are realizing that it's not worth it to keep making shark fin soup if it means sharks might disappear forever. Even though some people still eat it, the Chinese government is telling officials not to serve it at important events. Many young people think it's old-fashioned and bad for the environment. Things are changing, but because shark fin soup has been around for so long, it won't go away right away. It'll take time for people to decide if keeping this tradition is more important than protecting sharks. Number 15. Bats and bamboo rats. In the southern parts of China, bats and bamboo rats have been important for a long time. People there have used them for food and medicine. These animals used to be very important for the environment and the culture in places like Guangxi and Guangdong. Bats have been used in Chinese medicine for a very long time. People believe they could help with sicknesses like malaria and kidney problems. Bat soup was seen as something that could make you feel better. Bamboo rats were also thought to have medicinal powers, like helping with asthma and impotence, but there isn't much scientific proof of these beliefs. People in southern China used to see bats and bamboo rats as special because they could help with health problems and provide food. They lived in forests and were easy to find and catch. People could rely on them for food in the rich forests of southern China. Eating bats and bamboo rats was not just about food. It was also about culture and pride in the local environment. People took pride in having these animals as part of their diet because they were unique to the region. Bats were often cooked with herbs and spices to make tasty dishes like curries. Bamboo rat meat was known for its tender texture and earthy taste. People would roast it, boil it in soups, or dry it to make jerky. But now, there are fewer bats and bamboo rats in the wild. This is because their habitats are being destroyed, and people are catching too many of them. As China becomes more modern, the tradition of eating these animals is fading away. People are starting to realize that it's not good for the environment or the animals themselves to eat them without care. Number 14. Seahorse. Seahorses have been used in Chinese medicine for a long time, but now they're mostly eaten in China. China eats almost all of the seahorses in the world. This is a real seahorse that hasn't been dried yet. Most seahorses that are eaten are dried. People eat them as snacks like chips. Some people even put them on skewers and eat them. Besides being a snack, people think seahorses can help with medical problems, like not being able to get an erection. People in China have been using seahorses in medicine since a long time ago, like during the Ming Dynasty in the 1500s. They thought seahorses could help with many health problems, from breathing issues to not being able to have babies. Today, seahorses are still used in medicine, but there are fewer of them because they're being caught a lot. Most of the seahorses that are caught are sold to China. As the places where seahorses live get worse, there are fewer seahorses. Even though they're important for traditional medicine, it's becoming harder to find them. Seahorses are special because they show the balance between eating traditions and saving animals that are disappearing from the sea. Number 13. Silkworms and scorpions. The consumption of silkworm pupae and scorpions in China has a rich history spanning thousands of years. Silkworms were not only used for silk production, but also served as a protein source during times of scarcity. Similarly, scorpions were utilized in traditional Chinese medicine for various ailments. Today, these insects are enjoyed as snacks, seasoned with spices, and cooked to crispy perfection. Despite being perceived as unusual in Western cultures, they hold significant cultural and culinary value in China, representing a connection to the past and resilience in utilizing available resources for sustenance and healing. Number 12. Bird's nest soup. Bird's nest soup is a very special and expensive food in China. It's made from the nests of birds called swiftlets. These nests are found in dangerous places like cliffs and caves in Southeast Asia. People who collect them take big risks to get just a little bit. For a long time, only rich people could have this soup because it was believed to make you live longer and keep you healthy. Making the soup is a careful process. The nests are made from the spit of the swiftlets, and they're very small. Chefs cook them for a long time in a broth with other fancy ingredients like Chinese ham and ginseng. The soup ends up tasting sweet and smooth, almost like dessert. Even today, bird's nest soup is a symbol of wealth. It can cost a lot, up to $3,000 per pound. People pay so much because they believe it's good for their health and because it shows off how rich they are. But it's also a reminder of how clever Chinese chefs can be, turning something simple like bird's spit into something fit for a king. Number 11. Duck tongues. Chinese food is known for using strange and interesting ingredients. Imagine eating duck tongues, small, bony pieces from the duck's mouth. Chinese people have enjoyed these for many years. They show how Chinese cooking likes to try new things and find hidden treasures. Duck tongues are often marinated in soy sauce, rice wine, vinegar, sesame oil, and spices, then fried until crispy outside and tender inside. They're a good example of how Chinese chefs play with textures to make food more interesting. Besides texture, duck tongues also have delicate flavors. They're described as light and slightly gamey, with savory, nutty tastes. Eating duck tongues can be tricky because they have tiny bones. But if you're careful, it's rewarding to discover new flavors and textures. Duck tongues used to be rare, but now they're popular all over China. This shows how unusual foods can become mainstream when people are brave enough to try them. Number 10. Stinky tofu. In busy streets of big Chinese cities, a strong smell might hit your nose. That's stinky tofu. This smelly snack is famous in China for its big flavors. Although it smells bad, it tastes good. Stinky tofu starts as regular tofu made from soy milk. Then it sits in a mix of milk, veggies, and herbs for months. This makes it stink but gives it a unique taste. When cooked, it has a soft inside and crispy outside. Even though it smells, it actually tastes nice. People in China like strong smells and tastes because it makes food exciting. Stinky tofu is also a source of local pride, especially in places like Chengdu. People there love it and talk about how delicious it is. So, even though it smells, people think it's worth trying for the tasty experience it offers. Number 9. Sea urchin roe with steamed egg. In parts of China near the ocean, people use eggs from spiky sea animals called sea urchins to make a special food. They mix the saltiness of the sea with the softness of steamed eggs. This mix shows how Chinese cooks are good at mixing land and seafoods. Sea urchin eggs have been a fancy food in coastal China, Japan, and Korea for a long time. People scoop them out fresh from the sea urchin shells. These tiny eggs have a salty taste that goes well with eggs. When you steam them gently together in the empty sea urchin shell, they become rich and creamy. People often add chopped scallions on top to add a fresh taste. This special food comes from places like Fujian and Guangdong provinces, where sea urchins are easy to find. People there also think this food is good for health. They say it helps with digestion and strength. For many Chinese who live far from the coast, this dish reminds them of home. The mix of textures and tastes, the salty sea taste wrapped in savory egg, shows what Chinese food is like. This dish also shows how clever Chinese cooks are. Sea urchins are found in shallow water or caught by divers who dive deep into the sea. It's risky, but worth it. Number 8. Jellyfish salad. Jellyfish look like something from a science fiction movie with their curled shape and thin tentacles. But in China, they're turned into a really crunchy salad. Strips of jellyfish tentacles are seasoned with vinegar, soy sauce, and sesame to give them a unique texture. People abroad also like this salad. Jellyfish have been eaten in Chinese coastal areas for a long time. They were first caught accidentally by fishermen's nets, but because they taste mild and crunchy, they became popular. After being prepared and marinated, they stay crunchy even when cooked. Apart from being versatile, jellyfish are also healthy. Despite being mostly water, they are low in calories but high in collagen, a protein that might help with aging. Some say eating jellyfish salad can make your skin glow. They also reproduce in large numbers, so eating them helps prevent overpopulation. Because of worries about overfishing, many think eating lots of jellyfish is a good sustainable choice for seafood. This shows Chinese innovation, turning something usually thrown away into a popular food. Eating these sea wanderers isn't just tasty, it's also good for the environment. Number 7. Snake soup. Some people might find the idea of eating soup made from snake meat strange, but it has been valued for many years as a healthy meal. In Cantonese cooking, snake soup is very special. It's a tradition that goes back to ancient times, even to the Qing dynasty, when it was considered a fancy dish fit for kings and queens. People believe that eating snake meat could make them healthier by giving them more energy and better blood flow. The soup is made with different kinds of snakes and Chinese herbs that are good for you. Each ingredient in the soup has a specific job. Some give you energy, while others reduce swelling. Making snake soup takes a long time because the flavors have to blend together perfectly. Snake meat itself is tender and tastes a bit like a mix of fish and chicken. Even the bones can be eaten if prepared correctly. Sometimes you can even find dried snake meat in workshops, which some people think can make you live longer and be more active. But it's not clear if this is really true. Although not as many places serve snake soup nowadays, it's still an important part of Cantonese culture. It's seen as something special, representing the adventurous side of Chinese cooking. However, concerns about overharvesting snakes from the wild mean that it's not as easy to find as it used to be. But for those who enjoy it, snake soup is something to be proud of, reminding them of their cultural heritage and the endless possibilities of Chinese cuisine. Number 6. Fried cicadas. In China, when summer comes, lots of noisy cicadas show up. People get hungry and fry them to eat. For many Chinese, eating these crunchy bugs is normal, like having popcorn at the movies. They put the cicadas on sticks, cover them in a mix of cornstarch and spices, then deep fry them. This turns them into tasty snacks with a crispy outside and a soft inside. Cicadas are rich in protein, even more than beef. Eating bugs has been a part of Chinese food culture for a long time, way before it became popular in the West for being eco-friendly. Old writings like the Shanghai Jing show people eating cicadas and locusts back in the Han Dynasty. Cicadas were enjoyed not only for their taste, but also because they represent summer and happiness. Nowadays, cicadas are losing their homes, so eating them helps control their population and gives us a nutritious local food source. Just like crispy crickets and silkworm larvae, fried cicadas show how simple ingredients can become special treats with the skills of Chinese chefs and street vendors. Number 5. Pigeon on a stick. If you walk down a busy street in parts of China like Beijing and Shanghai, you might see people cooking pigeons on sticks over a fire. This is a traditional snack that goes well with beer. People have been cooking pigeons this way since a long time ago, even back in the Han Dynasty. Pigeons are small, so they're perfect for street food. Vendors put them on sticks, add spices, and grill them until they're crispy outside and tender inside. Some people also cook pigeons in dishes like porridge or pie. In Chinese culture, pigeons are seen as symbols of peace and loyalty. In the past, serving pigeons at special occasions like weddings was thought to bring good luck. Even though duck and chicken are more popular now, pigeons used to be very valuable and were linked with wealth and happiness. Even as tastes change, the traditional flavor of street-cooked pigeons reminds people of the old days. Number 4. Pig brain. In China, people have been enjoying pig brain for a long time. They cook it in soup or hot pots. Some people think it's tasty, while others might not like it. Pig brain is a controversial ingredient because some worry about its cholesterol and diseases it might carry. But in places like Chengdu, they still serve it as a special dish. People used to believe that eating pig brain soup could make you smarter, even though some are concerned about its health effects. For some, it's a nostalgic food. They see it as a unique experience to try something new and different. Number 3. Gutter oil. In China, some cooking oil isn't bought from stores. Instead, a lot of it is made from used oil collected from restaurants, sewers, and even slaughterhouses. This oil, called gutter oil, is then sold to sellers who don't know it's not good for cooking. Even though making gutter oil is against the law in China, it's still happening because the rules aren't enforced well. People who collect the used oil take it, clean it, and sell it as cheap cooking oil. About 10% of cooking oil in China was estimated to be gutter oil in 2010. Number 2. Cat meat. In many places, people think eating cats is not okay, but in certain parts of China, eating cat meat has been happening for a long time. Every year, around 4 million cats are eaten in Guangdong and Ganji provinces. Some people believe that eating cat meat in dishes like stews and hot pots is good in cold weather because it makes the body warmer. But eating cats goes against Buddhist rules, so sometimes sellers say it's something else, like rabbit or goat meat. As cats became more popular as pets in China, especially among younger people, eating them became more controversial. The government made stronger laws to protect animals, too. Even with these changes, you can still find cat meat dishes in some rural restaurants or markets. Number 1. Giant clams. In Chinese markets, big clams are a sight to see. Some can weigh over 200 pounds. But be careful when cooking them. They can splash a lot. These clams are big and heavy, just like their name suggests. They have a big muscle that keeps their shell closed tight, which helps them stay safe. But when you open the shell, the muscle might spasm and shoot out water suddenly. So it's risky to eat them raw. Chefs in China usually cook the big clams to avoid getting splashed. When cooked, the meat is tender and tastes sweet and like the ocean. The colorful part inside the clam is also edible and looks really nice. Big clams used to be all over Asia-Pacific reefs, but too many were caught, so there aren't as many now. We're not sure what will happen to them in the future, but they're still amazing to eat and think about, mixing food and nature. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.